Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. My name is Heng. Good evening. It is Saturday, October 18th. I just gave a very lovely greeting to everyone, and I was muted, so none of you heard it. Ha ha. Start over. Hi, it's October 18th. It's Saturday here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. Welcome to all of you who are tuning in for the picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. Thank goodness. I wonder how long I would have gone into the lecture before I discovered on my own that I was muted. That would have been a joke. So, glad you're all here. Let's get started. Today, Florence is going to do our Dharma request from City of 10,000 Buddhas, and I'm going to ring this bell 3 times. Invite you all to join me if you care to do so in making 3 half bows. And then Florence will request Dharma, and we'll continue with our lecture. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. All right. Florence, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭请大德圣听，为知法会，济一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱世，离苦得乐。殊真无生 will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadando suchedoye alahadi samya samputoshi.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahati samya samputosie.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All right, Florence, appreciate that. Thank you. Happy to accept. To get us going, I'd like to acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations peoples whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认Ugambe语族的Kombu-Meri人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 生传3000界内，佛法扬尼国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪恼后等。Okay, that's all our opening protocol. I'd like to remind people that there are translations of my English commentary in both Chinese and Vietnamese. I'll let people know, 就说你们如果愿意听一种流利的普通话翻译，你的软件的公式版的右下角有 interpretation， 你们看到了没有？有个小地球，就那里可以找到 Chinese 就可以了啊。我们的义工很发心在那儿帮忙翻译这个普通话啊。Also, if you go to the chat box in your control panel, you'll find a link to our Vietnamese translation. And further, we really appreciate the kind-hearted volunteers who are making this my English commentary available in Vietnamese and Chinese as well. Furthermore, if anybody would like to be a Dharma requester in the future, send an email to Chan Yu, and you'll find her email there in the chat box, and we will set you up. You don't have to do both languages. If you want to do just one, we'll supply the other. Okay. We have 80 friends online from the entire planet. Proud to say that. Amazing. Let's see here. Our translators here in the Gold Coast, but our other co-hosts are in Ukiah, Northern California, Mendocino County, including the towns of Talmadge and Ukiah. Bill is here from Cascade, Colorado. Brian's listening from Campbell. There's a Bros here. I wonder if that's Ben Bros. If that's Ben, hi Ben, welcome. Zhao Zhong is in Vancouver. Let's see. Alameda, Heilongjiang, Montreal. Elena is there from San Jose. Jan's in Oregon, Berkeley. Let's see here. City of 10,000 Buddhas. Malaysia, Calgary, Kansas, New York City, Singapore, Los Angeles. Seems like I was just going through this list yesterday, but it's been a week, hasn't it? Amazing how time is speeding up these days. St. Petersburg, Florida, Taipei. Let's see here, Mesa, Arizona, Calgary, Oklahoma, Oakland, California, Sao Paulo, Brazil, hi Vera. Then we switch over and we have friends from where? Beijing, Harbin, Shandong, Guangzhou, Jilin, Liaoning, Tianjin, Xi'an, Heilongjiang. Let's see here, Zhejiang, 哪里？还有安徽啊，苏州、浙江、兰海啊，有陕西、宝鸡、黑龙江、吉林、安徽、深圳、北京。河北唐山 ，OK， 很多北京人，好几位啊。哈尔滨、深圳、珠海，哈尔滨 ，OK， 广东，黑龙江、苏州 ，and 河南 and 江苏 ，OK。So my goodness, we've covered most of the provinces of China, I think. 没有甘肃的人今天，赶快有甘肃的朋友来了啊，赶快打电话。Okay, now what are we about? We are looking into a text created by our teacher, Master Xuan Hua, for his teacher, Master Empty Cloud. Master Empty Cloud, as some of you, most of you know, but there are some newcomers to the series who don't know that he was considered to be the most remarkable monk probably in 200 years. And his own life spanned 120 of those 200 years. He lived to be 120. He single-handedly brought together 5 schools, separate schools, gathered into the Chan sect, the Chan school, which we are Chan monks. Chan went to Japan and became Zen, as people know. It went to Korea and became Son. Chan itself is the Chinese pronunciation of the word dhyana, which means meditation and the states that you can accomplish. So by the time Buddhism got to the 19th century, the end of the 19th century when Master Empty Cloud was born, the Chan school had scattered. There were People are familiar in Japan with Rinzai and Soto. Well, that was Caodong and Linji in China. And they were all very kind of disorganized and not energetic. Master Empty Cloud single-handedly, through his presence, through his abilities, through his courage, and his traveling all over China, Tibet, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, didn't go to Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore. He re-energized the Chan school, found monks to carry on the different traditions of the 5 schools. Our tradition here, with following Master Hsuen Hua, is called the Weiyang school, one of the 5. So in 1959, Master Empty Cloud and Nirvana, our teacher commissioned an artist in Hong Kong to provide a clever, charming line drawing for each of 200 episodes of his life, of his 120 years of life. And Master Hua went into Master Empty Cloud's autobiography, pulled out the stories, and fit them into this very brief format here, and then wrote a 4-line poem to set off each of these adventures. So this is the book that we're lecturing on, because many people weren't even aware that this book existed. So we have been progressively explaining the various episodes. 2 weeks ago, we heard the story of Master Empty Cloud in Penang, Malaysia, talking to the local governor when a cow, a buffalo, a water buffalo, ran into the room, knelt down in front of Master Empty Cloud, and tears came from its eyes. Following, hot-footing it right behind him, was the butcher who owned the cow. Master Empty Cloud spoke to the cow and said, "If you take refuge with the 3 jewels, you will save your life." The cow nodded his head. Master Empty Cloud spoke the formula of giving the refuges to the cow, essentially giving the cow's spirit a place to rely upon. Never mind the animal's body, Master Empty Cloud was speaking directly to his 8th consciousness. So the butcher, so moved by seeing what he couldn't deny was going on in front of his eyes, dropped his butcher knife, asked to get the refuges as well. By dropping the butcher knife, he lost his income. The regional governor said, "I'll hire you I've got a job for you, because I'm moved by your courage and your resolve to do this." So a stalwart member of our weekly audience, Brian, memorialized that experience in a song, which I will share with you now. How about that? We don't have the melody yet. We've got the verse. It goes like this. He carried the Tripitaka on the road from Mandalay, from Burma back to China, reciting all the way. Then Master Empty Cloud stopped to rest at Wanshou, where early one morning he saw a miracle occur. In the Buddha hall, he heard the cry. A cow begged for its life. The runaway sought refuge from the cruel butcher's knife. The cow begged for compassion, that he might just survive. Tears fell from his frightened eyes as his owner, the butcher, arrived. Master Empty Cloud said, "Violent death is harsh and cruel. If you want to escape your fate, take refuge with 3 jewels." The grateful cow nodded his head, knelt down, and then he bowed and accepted 3 refuges from the Master Empty Cloud. The Master offered compensation to the amazed butcher, who was so moved by what he saw that he took refuge too. That day, the butcher vowed to change his profession, cultivate non-harming, and become a vegetarian. It's not a good rhyme, but it's a close rhyme. Lean, you know. Suffering endangers the lives of creatures great and small, but like a raft in a storm, the 3 jewels save us all. 3 jewels save us all. There we go. Well done, Brian. There we go. Now we have to get a melody for it. We'll work on it next. In my retelling of the story, I left out a piece, which was after the cow nodded its head and bowed, Master Empty Cloud offered gold to the butcher and said, I'll buy the cow back. The butcher said, I don't want your money and I don't want to be a butcher anymore. So that was what moved the governor. So stories like that are not few in this incredible biography. So that takes us to today's episode, which is a very dramatic difference in tone. In between, last week, that was 2 weeks ago, last week, the Tripitaka, the Buddhist canon, made it to Yunju Jizhu Shan out in Yunnan. Take a look where we're talking. Here's China. Here's a map of China. So, for example, Beijing is up. Hold on, I need 2 fingers here. Here is Beijing. This is how far north Beijing is. Shanghai is down here. Taiwan is down here. We are out here in the far, far west of China in Yunnan province. Just for reference sake, this is Burma, this is Tibet, this is Bhutan, and here is India. So you can kind of get a sense of where we are. Today's story, it focuses out here in Jizhushan, in the far, far remote west of China, where back in 1910, when the story takes place, there were very few roads. It was hard to travel out there, and it was considered pretty much the Wild West. All right, so now we kind of orient ourselves. Here's the story. Very different in tone. 一年思两封书, having one thought of compassion, receiving 2 letters. Our teacher is 71 years old, and this is what happened. 公修71岁, 自前年进提示, let's see here. 自前年进提示禅及藏经回山, 僧伽占尊戒法, 提倡青年教育, 理率家眷皈依, 放金僧, 是罪求下鼓山转家信封2封. Let's see. 弹指50年, 有诗云, 只此一生清白业, 芸芸之具. Okay, butchered the Chinese. The master was 71 years old in 1910. Because he organized the prohibition against seizing monastery property, because the Tripitaka arrived on Mahakashyapa's mountain, the Sangha gradually came to honor the moral precepts again. The master continued to promote education for young monks. Viceroy Li and his whole family took the refuges. Monks and others, still in jail, were released. In the summer, the master received 2 letters from home, forwarded from Drum Mountain, Gushan. In what seemed like a finger snap, 50 years had passed. The master wrote a poem which reads in part, "In this lifetime, I've tried to purify my karma so that no other affairs linger in my mind." Okay, so this is a retrospective, looking backwards at events that we discussed for the last 4 or 5 years of Master Empty Cloud's life. What was going on, the precipitating event was, because Yunnan was so far away from the national capital, Beijing, you saw Beijing is way up in the northeast, Jizhushan is way down in the southwest. The local government in Yunnan behaved more like a bandit gang than it did a government. They were destroying monasteries, confiscating their valuables, putting monks in jail if there was any resistance. It was a very lawless situation. Furthermore, the monks who survived either colluded with the renegade government or were just so corrupt that they resembled more like bandits than they did like monastics or Buddhists. Master Empty Cloud was told about this, and he experienced some abuse at the hands of monks who should have revered him. And so he resolved that he was going to bring the Dharma back to Yunnan province. And he went to the Forbidden City in Beijing, got the emperor and the emperor's courtiers to issue laws, edicts, saying confiscating monastic property is illegal. You will be prosecuted by doing that. So he, armed with the official imperial attention focused on Yunnan province, he came back and said, there's going to be a new day here. He rebuilt a monastery. He transmitted the precepts to monks. He reminded the monks of what Buddhism is about, what it's for, in person. When you just take a look at him, you have a sense of this is I could possibly leave home as a monastic and accomplish the way this teacher has done. So he completely reformed and revitalized Buddhism in Yunnan province. And that's the story here. So we've heard about, he promoted education for young monks. He turned the local government into Buddhists, which is a big step. And then something happened, which is this shift in focus for our story. 2 letters arrived. I'll let the material speak for itself. Master Hua wrote a verse. It goes like this: 一念慈悲万佛欢，六度修长众上缘，九品莲花影妙境，满轮明月照公颜。A single thought of compassion brings smiles to 10,000 Buddhas. The 6th perfection is complete, is the source of myriad sages. 9 grades of lotus flowers usher in wonderful purity. The bright light of the full moon shines down on the Master's mountain peak. Okay, now, as we've said frequently, because of the limitations of the form, the format of the book was just essential excerpts, just cut out the heart of it, report it, 200 stories. The result of that is that you lose a lot of the flavor, you lose the details. In this case, luckily we have Master Empty Cloud's autobiography to fill in those details. So I'm going to take us now to the very letters that he received. Okay, so the story goes that 2 letters came for him, and the mail made it out to Yunnan, so there was a postal system in China that worked. And there he was, and he got the letters. What do you suppose? What do you suppose they said? Okay, here we go. Here's the story of the ox. Okay, so we'll fill in more of the details here. This is the source from which Master Hua excerpted the portion that we get for our biography. Since let's see here. 自从前年奉上谕禁止提取寺禅后，即藏经道山全省僧家占得安居，天际里率派员来山慰问，并令其家眷来寺皈依，即赠礼物，含谢之，请戒尘师、戒尘法师出关，劝诫诸山同有戒律，提倡教育青年，革除陋习，及山道风为之一振，欲兵传县长商士被禁僧与狱。哇被 is that 刺青最坤最旧图。So he says, since the imperial edict issued 2 years ago forbidding confiscation of temple property, and with the arrival of the Buddhist canon on the mountain, the monastic community throughout the province has at last been able to live in temporary peace. So, reading between the lines, what this is saying is, if you were a monk, before Master Empty Cloud showed up in Yunnan, you had a tough life. You might be arrested, you might be persecuted, your monastery could be confiscated. So, the governor of Yunnan, Commander Li, sent officials to the mountain to offer their regards, and also had his family members come to the monastery to take refuge in the Triple Jewel, presenting gifts as well. Now, don't you imagine the governor of Yunnan, once he gets in his hands the official imperial edict from Beijing saying, stop persecuting Buddhists, he was like, oh, we very much like Buddhists. We are yes, we will happily stop. Yes, palms together, we will bow. You know, the emperor in Beijing is looking at Yunnan. Of course he's behaving, finally, as they should. But not to make light of it at all, just to say it takes someone with the virtue of Master Empty Cloud to make this transformation happen. He says, I wrote a letter of thanks. I invited Dharma Master Jie-Chun to leave his seclusion. This was the monk who came from Zhongnanshan, out near Xi'an, with Master Empty Cloud all the way to Yunnan, but who went into seclusion as a protest to the mistreatment, the maltreatment of Buddhists in Yunnan province. So now he can come out of seclusion. He can exhort the heads of the various monasteries to uphold the precepts, promote the education of youth, and eliminate corrupt customs. Big deal when a couple skinny vegetarian monks can revitalize an entire religious tradition in a province. As a result, the monastic spirit of Jizu Mountain was greatly revitalized. Together with the country magistrate of Binchuan, I interceded on behalf of imprisoned monks who had been banned from practice and secured the pardon of minor offenders. My guess is the monks who were imprisoned were the ones who refused to go along with the corruption. Probably it was the virtuous ones who got abused. All right, now here is the turn of events. 夏间由鼓山传来乡中家信，弹指50年，成诗3首，又至此一生清白夜，更无于世寄心天。家后昏望尘世事，莫将于兮到云边。后尘中汉荣唱，未作妙经拟留机记，克制式。Here's the story. At the beginning of Master Empty Cloud's life, he turned his back on his father's wishes. His father was a well-regarded public servant, a scholar, and he had high hopes for his son to follow in his footsteps and further the family's reputation, bring honor and glory to the ancestors, etc. Master Empty Cloud was not interested at all. He wanted to be a monk. He wanted to be a hermit. And he ran away into the mountains and lived like a hippie, like an immortal, running free with his hair streaming out behind him through the woods. Sometimes didn't bother to eat. They say his eyes would glow because he was such a wild mountain man. Well, Dad sent armed attendants to go out and bring him back, and they did. They found him, wrestled him to the ground, brought him back. Dad said, okay, well, we'll compromise. I'll teach you Taoism. So he hired the best Taoist teachers he could find to allow Master Empty Cloud to get married, to have a life and a career, but also practice spirituality. Master Empty Cloud said, "Fooey," words to that effect, and ran away again. And they went out, brought him back a second time. And Dad he knew that this was serious. He was going to lose his son, which he didn't want to do. So the story goes briefly, he married him to 2 young women, not one but 2, not because of polygamy, but because another young man of the family was betrothed to this woman of good family, but then he died suddenly, tragically. And in order to give the fiancé, not yet married, a family to rely upon so that she wouldn't be just kind of lost in society somewhere. Once you're promised to a family, once the match is made, if you break it, you're considered damaged goods, right? This is traditional societies. So he said, okay, you can, both of you, both my sons, my living son, Master Empty, the future Empty Cloud, can marry his fiancée and his deceased brother's fiancée. 2 wives. Oh my goodness. So what does our hero do when he truly does want to cultivate the way and become a monastic and devote his life to spiritual practice? He makes a pact with both wives that they will stay pure, they will stay celibate, and they will allow him, he'll bring them into the family. They have protection, they are members of the Xiao family, but he is going to leave home. And he did. And Dad at this point said, I give up. His heart was broken. It wasn't long, too many years after that the father returned to Hunan province, where they came from. That's the Xiang here. This is Hunan, Xiangzhong. And Dad died heartbroken. What happened? His stepmother, because Master Empty Cloud's own mother died in childbirth, which is a major motivator for his spiritual practice to repay her kindness. The stepmother who raised him became a nun, became a Buddhist nun. Both young wives became Buddhist nuns. So there were 4 monastics in the family following the inspiration of this monk. Okay, 50 years pass. Master Empty Cloud becomes China's most highly regarded monk. He does a 3 steps, 1 bow pilgrimage across China, 3,000 miles. He nearly dies twice. He is rescued by Manjushri Bodhisattva in guise of a beggar. And he goes to a Chan session at Gaomin Monastery and gets enlightened in a traditional Chan way. Then goes on to do these incredible feats of traveling to Tibet on foot and traveling down to Burma on foot. He, while lecturing in the city of Bangkok, Thailand, enters samadhi for 9 days, doesn't leave his meditation seat for 9 days, bringing the king of Thailand and all the courtiers in to see who is this monk who can meditate for 9 consecutive days without moving, etc., etc. 50 years pass, and now a letter from home catches up. right? Suddenly he is face to face with the reality of his blood family, his blood relatives, and the results of his actions, which is to say his leaving home. That's what this letter is. And here's the story. Now, it's quite long, and I talked to Cliff, our translator, that I won't try to read the Chinese because it would be painful for your ears, but I will slowly scroll. Cliff, if I scroll, you can read for everybody. Can you? Is it big enough? 看得到吗? Okay, you got it. Okay, why don't you read? 比丘尼妙经者. You want to go ahead? So.
比丘尼妙境者，俗姓王氏，云公之庶母也。云公法名古言，字德清，号虚云，湘人，俗姓萧，梁武之后也。父玉堂，所至福建泉州府墓。母严夫人，年逾45子，起观音大师得孕。父母梦衣长须青袍人，头顶观音，身骑猛虎，跳入床上。母惊醒，异香熏视，既生云公，落地乃一肉球。母大失望，弃婴而绝。月日有卖药翁来，抛肉球得难，即云公也。父母抚育之，云公性不喜，如奔稍长，就传忽视如书，性好佛经，父子不悦。言择之年17，以兼遥故父为娶二妻，一田氏，一谭氏。云公不遇也，寻于岷海古山里，妙莲长老为师，同治3年甲子岁，父去世。庶母随领二媳入佛门为尼，田氏旧患科血。披地4腊，即病末。谭氏尚存，为湘观音山尼，法名清节，常寄书云公，称以4腊拉庶母西归，当弥留时，家夫留继而逝。
Okay, hold on. There we go. Let's read that much. Now, this is a letter. This is one of the 2 letters that he received from his who? This is a letter from his stepmother, who raised him, watched him grow up and run away and run away and run away and get married, but not really, and then become a monk. And then the famous Empty Cloud emerged. This is that woman whose husband, Empty Cloud's dad, went back to Hunan and, heartbroken, died. Bhikshuni Miaojing, she became a Buddhist nun when she wrote this. This is her goodbye letter. Lay surname Wang was the concubine of Elder Yun's father. Elder Yun's Dharma name was Guyan, courtesy name Deqing, monastic name Empty Cloud, Xu Yun. He was a native of Xiang. His lay surname was Xiao. He was connected to Liang Wudi the Hou. So, I'll save that story. His father, Yu Tang, served as an aide in the administration of Quanzhou Prefecture in Fujian. Is this better, bigger? Can you read it? Would you like it? It's big enough? Okay. His mother, Lady Yan, was over 40 years old and childless. She prayed to the Bodhisattva Guanyin for a son and got pregnant. Both parents dreamed of a tall man with a long beard wearing a blue robe with Guanyin on his head, riding a fierce tiger, came into the mother's bedroom. The figure leapt upon the bed. The mother awoke to find the room filled with fragrance. She gave birth, but the child arrived covered in what's called a caul, C-A-U-L. Greatly disappointed, she lost breath and died. The family is frantic. What kind of a monster has arrived? The next day, an old medicine seller arrived, cut open the lump of flesh, and a boy emerged. This was Elder Yun. Strange birth. The concubine raised him as her own. From childhood, Yun disliked meat. Cloud, that's Empty Cloud. As he grew, he attended a tutor but didn't care for Confucian books. His nature delighted in Buddhist sutras. His father disapproved and punished him strictly. At age 17, because he was heir to 2 family lines, his father arranged marriages with 2 brides, Miss Tian and Miss Tan. Yun refused and fled to Drum Mountain by the sea in Fujian, where he took elder master Miaolian as his teacher. In the 3rd year of Tongzhi, 1864, his father died. The concubine, the writer of this letter, then led both daughters-in-law into the Buddhist order as nuns. Miss Tian, long suffering from coughing blood, probably pneumonia, died after 4 years in the robes. Miss Tan survived and became a nun named Qingjie at Guanyin Mountain in Hunan. She once wrote to Elder Yun, telling him that on the 8th day of the 12th month in the year of the rooster, the concubine passed away peacefully. At the moment of departure, she sat cross-legged and left this verse. Empty Cloud's stepmother, the year previous, 1909, this is happening in 1910, crossed her legs and chose the time to die. And before she left, she wrote this verse. These people are amazing people. Okay, Cliff, you ready? Ren Sheng Yang Zi.
人生养子有何意？意应展翅并飞飞。怀胎命若悬丝弦，既生得安谢神奇。如骨不倦妙食苦，如诗捧球不暂离。待得至处成朋去，此亲衰老犹靠谁？兄伯弟寒父亡故，弃我婆媳竟何依？痴情难解居欲念，一想一悲令人啼。欲作鬼母寻子去，举目云山万重围。汝能置办生死事，不见旁运法道为。俗爱法海何书意，山禽上小栖落灰。虽或同愿奉佛寺，日喜寒山冷翠微。而既早为空王子，师尊昔曾度阿姨。恨兹娑婆尽烦恼，修心今向极乐归。
Okay, poem number 1. There are 2. She wrote 2 poems, and they are, oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. To bear and raise a child, what use? What do you get? Once wings are strong, the fledgling flies away. Pregnancy, a thread, a peril hanging by a thread for your life. When safe delivery comes, we give thanks to the gods. Suckling without rest amid filth and toil, like a lion cradling its cub, never apart. When at last the chick becomes a rock, the proverbial great bird, the pung bird, and soars, who then will the weary mother rely upon? Brother cold, father gone, kin all dispersed. Left alone, who supports the mother-in-law and the wives? Foolish affection clings to the thought of nurture. The more you recall, the more your tears fall. I wish, as a ghost mother, to search for my son, but before me stand 10,000 mountain clouds. If you can truly resolve the affair of birth and death, remember that Pang Yun did not betray the way. Worldly love and Dharma love, what's the real difference? So love in the world and love for the Dharma, what's the real difference? Even mountain birds know to rest at sunset. Though I got my wish to live in the Buddha's hall, I wash each day in cold mountains, green and chilly water. My child early on became the Buddha's son. The world-honored one once saved his own aunt, Mahaprajapati. I grieve that in this Saha world, everything is trouble. Now I still my mind and return to ultimate bliss. Who's this woman? Amazing, right? As she chooses that moment to die with her legs crossed sitting on the bed. Whew. Not simple. As they say, 不简单, huh? Okay, are you ready? Cliff, here you go.
又一句，美因恩爱恋红尘，贪迷忘事本来人。80余年皆幻梦，万事成空无一人。今朝解脱生前泪，换取莲邦净妙身。有缘念佛归西去，莫于苦海沾沉沦。
云公。
云公得书悲喜交集，悲者悲福玉珍未报，喜者喜庶母出家40余年，命中心不颠倒，流迹而逝，即生息之兆矣。民国11年岁次任虚下，陈敬昌净传并书。
Okay, and because of time, we're going quickly, but it's really well written. There's particularly this verse, 悲喜交间, where was that? Here it is. 云公得书, 悲喜交集. This is, it's, yeah. She writes, second verse, through love and craving, I clung to the dusty world. Greedy and lost, I forgot my original self. 80-odd years, nothing but a dream. All things vanish, nobody remains. This morning, I'm free of the bonds of life. I trade them for a pure body in the lotus land. Those with affinities recite the Buddha's name and return to the West. Do not consent to sink again in the ocean of suffering. Elder Yun, upon receiving the letter, was filled with both grief and joy. Oh, wait a minute now. I think that's the end of the letter. So this is the return to the narrative. Okay, so the letter ends here. Then we get more of the narrative. Okay, so Elder Yun, upon receiving the letter, felt a mixture of emotion, both grief and joy. He grieved the kindness of his foster mother who had raised him was not yet repaid. He rejoiced that his stepmother had lived as a nun for more than 40 years, and at the end of her life, her mind was clear and undisturbed. She left a verse and passed away, a sure sign of rebirth in the Western land. Written respectfully in the summer of the 11th year of the Republic, 1922, water dog year, Chan Rung Chang. Okay, so what's going on here? This is Master Empty Cloud's autobiography it's called his Nianpu, and we have been adding to Master Hua's picture biography, filling in the color in a black and white photo, more or less. So what we've just heard, this first letter and the two verses was added later to the autobiography. That's why it's a fulu. This is basically appendix. So this was appended, this is an appendices to the autobiography later, because the story is 1910. The letter was recorded in 1922 and added to the biography. Probably discovered among his papers or something like that. So this document has been edited as in time. Okay, amazing, right? That's one of two letters. So we're not gonna, we'll save it for next week, the second letter, because it's equally heart-wrenching. But let's take a minute and digest what we've just seen here. Because the stepmother, who is now a Bhikshuni named Wonderful Purity, Miao Jing, was Master Empty Cloud's stepmother, because his own mother died in childbirth. She was witness to all of the drama of his early life, wanting to be a monk at any cost and not wanting to do what Dad wanted him to do. Had a very traumatic leaving home experience. So this is her story, her perspective from 40, she says 40 years of watching his life. Interestingly, my colleague, speaking as Heng Shi here, Heng Chao, the monk who accompanied me on a pilgrimage, was named by our teacher as the incarnation of Emperor Wu of the Liang. Marty, Heng Chao, always felt a connection with Master Empty Cloud. Emperor Liang was named Xiao, Liang Wudi's surname, Xing Xiao. Shifu says that, Master Hua says that Heng Chao is Liang Wudi in the 20th century, 21st century. So he organically, just spontaneously felt this connection. So we're looking at the lineage continuing into the present. So, all right, what's going on here? So, another important point here is that Master Empty Cloud's own mother was 40 years old when she gave birth. That's getting on. That's dangerous time for women to conceive and give birth, because childbirth is always a dangerous moment, because there's the United States, speaking as an American, United States is something like 40th in terms of child mortality currently. Our child mortality rate is as bad as some impoverished nations worldwide. So anyway, so she got pregnant, she gave birth, but and there was a huge, auspicious sign at his birth, which is where the picture biography begins, mind you, which was both husband and wife saw someone enter the bedroom at night in a dream, a tall figure with a long beard, wearing a blue robe with Guan Yin on his head, riding a tiger. And the mother woke up and smelled fragrance, but what she gave birth to was this strange thing that was not a child. It was as if the placenta still centered around the child. There is a story that the legend goes that if you are an 8th stage bodhisattva, in the Mahayana tradition of bodhisattvas, there are 10 stages, you are born without contact with your mother's womb. So here is this child coming forward, and the mother couldn't take it. Now, it's not said that her giving birth at age 40 was a trauma, but in any case, she died. The reasons for it, they say that she was shocked. Nobody knew what to do until a local barefoot doctor, an herbal doctor, came by and said, cut that open, there's a child inside. Sure enough, out comes the boy. And the stepmother raised him as her own. So he clearly showed his predilection to purity, didn't like meat, liked Buddhist sutras, not Confucian stuff, ran away, got married, didn't consummate the marriage, ran away again, left home. Became a monk, everything happened, then Dad died. And the stepmom took the two fiancés, the two wives, 3 of them left home, 1 of them died. The other wife is sending the report of the verses that the stepmother wrote. because she saw stepmom cross her legs, know when her death was coming, write the verses, happily pass away to the Pure Land. So there you go. Amazing stuff. Next week, we're going to read the second of these letters, and then go on to the next episode in his life, which was another incredible miracle came forth. So, man, this is rich stuff, and yet it's the living tradition. This is our grand teacher, and whether you credit it as, is it true, is any of this genuine, just know that we're getting probably a teaspoon of the truth. Our Master Hua said that empty cloud could melt your heart from the back. The force of his virtue, the goodness of his heart radiated from his person. He didn't talk very much, but one look was often enough to help to move people to their own goodness. So, all right, I'd like to invite folks to make a wish to dedicate your merit, however you'd care to do so. Send out that goodness to the world who can use it. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night, because our hearts are one. This world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. And then before we end, I'd invite everybody to join me in bowing to Guanyin Bodhisattva, and we'll bow after that to Master Hua. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. See you all next week for more amazing stories. Mr. Empty Clouds Picture Biography. See you then. Ami Tofo.